George Mooney, Lindsey Nelson, John Ward, Bob Kessling, and Mike Keith. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy to even think about. I had a chance to really know all three. Obviously, I know Bob well, known Bob
Sure.
for nearly 40 years. Knew Lindsey Nelson and knew George Mooney, obviously worked for John Ward. And so to be part of that 75-year heritage with the three coming directly before me, having done 74 of those 75 years, it's the ultimate compliment.
We go back a long way. I'm certainly proud for you, Mike, and
Thank
this
you.
new endeavor as you move forward. You know, the last week or so, I've been going through the Twitter feed and through Instagram, and it's really all you saw. But what was really neat, I think, Mike, is the way Vol Nation has accepted it and is welcoming you back home. That's got to make you feel great.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know. I had asked some friends, close friends. I didn't talk to a lot of people about all of this. Mm-hmm. I said, how do you think it'll be received? And they said, oh, we think it'll be pretty good. And it's been really nice. And it just reinforces why I love living in the state so much. People are just good folks, and I think they understand why I would want this, and they understand that I take it seriously. Yeah. And I think people know I'm going to give it the best shot I got.
Yes, the impossible situation possible.
When I was here before, when I did Sports Talk in the afternoons,
sure.
And they were replacing Kevin O'Neill, the guy I was advocating for was Rick Barnes. I was like, I want Rick Barnes. I've got to get Rick Barnes from
sure.
Clemson. Well, it didn't work out that
sure.
way. So when Tennessee hired Rick Barnes from Texas, I was like going crazy. I was calling all my friends, and they were ragging me. They're like, "Oh, he's retirement Rick. He's just coming back here to stay a couple years and quit." I'm like, no. And so now I'm getting to rub it back in my friends' faces. Because he's the best he's ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at them in the final 4 minutes of games, you consistently see the fundamentals that he preaches all the time. They go back to those things.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, so you could say, well, the three-point shot or run and gun or do this or do that, or you could talk about NIL or the portal or whatever. But when you get down to the fundamentals, that's who they are. You know, Hickory, North Carolina, he gets it. They play that kind of basketball, and it is so fun to watch the style of basketball that Tennessee plays in this day and time.
Football's one thing, done it for a long time. Do you enjoy calling basketball?
So I have called basketball.
Yeah.
I haven't called nearly as much basketball as I've called football or baseball.
Sure, of course.
So I've got work to do. I'm going to be sitting in a room doing sort of practice broadcasts.
Yeah.
Again, I hope people don't walk by because they'll say that poor man sitting there talking to himself very loudly.
Mike's doing that
Well,
again.
what, he's doing that thing again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to do that.
Kim Caldwell's doing a great job on the ladies' side. This Thursday night, they celebrated We Back Pat night. You and I go back a long ways with Pat Summitt. I've got fond memories, and I'd venture to say you have fond memories as well.
I have great memories because I was Bob's backup announcer on Lady Vol broadcast before Mickey Dearstone took over that role, and then Mickey obviously became the voice of the Lady Vols. So I've done a lot of basketball. I traveled with Pat. Alzheimer's got my dad too, and so all of the things that Pat went through and all of the things that have happened with the Pat Summitt Foundation mean even more to me now based on what we saw my dad go through at the end of his life. And I think her legacy as a basketball coach is incredibly important, but the legacy that continues
no doubt.
Was trying to stamp this out is even more important than the national championships and everything else that she did. She was my favorite guest when I did Sports Talk.
Yeah, no doubt.
I love talking to Pat Summitt.
People ask me all the time, Mike, who's your favorite person that you've interviewed over the years? I said, I had her in my backyard. Pat Summitt.
Yeah.
Because you could ask her the tough questions, you could ask her the easy questions, she'd answer it the same way, and sometimes she'd answer the question before I finished it.
Well, I mean, she was so smart. When she walked in a room, when you sat down and talked with her, when you finished the conversation, you said, that's a person who could be president. That's a person who could run a Fortune 500 company. That's a person who could do anything. Yeah. And you don't get to encounter many of those in your life. she was the definition of great. And I have gotten to be with some other people like that. I measure those people against her.